Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to welcome you back to Slangin The Bizkit podcast, the new Slangin The Bizkit. This is going to be episode 19, hosted by yours truly, Travis Ridgen, also known as Trav for Oilers on the online YouTube community. I am starting right bench for the Motor City Rockers, number 33 on the bench, number 33 on your hearts, and joined by my amazing co-host, based out of Winnipeg, the Winnipeg radio legend, Mr. Dave Wheeler. You may have heard of him on Wheeler in the Mornings and his radio show, but he's on the Slangin The Bizkit podcast. How are you, Dave?
Life's good. Can't complain. I have a couple questions for you today, and keep in mind, because I'm based in Winnipeg, I follow the Winnipeg Jets not only for my radio show, because I cover them on a daily basis in sports, best damn sports report you'll hear in the entire city, by the way, but I also follow them because I used to have their logo up in the top left corner of my paycheck every 2 weeks. So I have a question regarding the game that happened a week ago Saturday, as far as when this podcast gets uploaded. So a week ago Saturday, game against the Dallas Stars, has to do with goaltending and being a defenseman, which I was for a great period of my life. By the way, did I ever tell you who my idol was as far as a defenseman?
No, please do.
You are way too young to ever know this name. If you know this name, I'll be very impressed. Captain of the Washington Capitals, Rod Langway.
Ooh, no, I've never heard of Rod Langway before.
This guy, I mean, if you look at his stat sheet, he used to wear Sears catalogs on his shins. That never showed up on the stat sheet, but maybe 5 assists, maybe a goal over a year or two. But his plus minus was always like plus 50, plus 60. The guy was just a pure defenseman through and through. Hard as nails, bald as a cue ball, didn't wear a helmet. Like I said, Sears catalogs on his shins. The guy played hockey hard as nails, and I just loved it because he didn't care about scoring goals. I don't think the guy ever knew what the red line looked like.
Have you seen, speaking of not wearing a helmet, have you seen in our warm-ups, like in the warm-up videos I post, how we got like 5 or 6 guys going no buckets for warm-ups?
Yeah, I love that. I think it's great.
It's a fantastic look. I mean, especially the guys that, like, I'm going to be honest, I get to see a little bit more action than most people do in a locker room. And there's a couple of guys out there, their hairlines are going back, myself included, and so you gotta flaunt it while you got it, right?
Oh, dude, there's a reason why Guy Lafleur combed his hair in between periods. That those locks flowing down the wing when he was soaring down for the Montreal Canadiens. Yeah. That's how you build a brand. And it's one of the reasons why the National Football League stopped allowing players to take their helmets off on the field, especially after touchdowns, because they wanted to be more spec. They wanted to be a little more anonymous. But guys that had, and that's why you saw the popcorn and the cell phones and that stuff coming out, because guys realized you build your brand by being visible, not just a helmet with a visor in front of it.
Yeah, but a lot of teams don't want you to have that brand. They want to just kind of like have you stick to the corporate formula and all that kind of
Bingo.
stuff. Yeah.
Right, exactly. Like they don't like people who do vlogs and podcasts and stuff like that. It's crazy talk. Just shut up and put your gear on.
Hey, speaking crazy talk, here's something crazy for you. So this podcast, we were on episode 19 since the reboot back in July. And the podcast has been growing explosively. I think we're coming up very close to well over tripling the audience since we rebooted. Like the Spotify, the Apple downloads are hot every week. The YouTube version is crushing it. We even got some new Patreon members last week. So shout out to Gary DeVito, new Patreon member. All the other Patreon members, there's a link down in the description if you want to help support us. If not, this is a free podcast, and we're happy to do it for you every Sunday at the same time we do every week.
Beautiful. And honestly, I know it doesn't sound like a big deal, but it is to us. If you can leave a rating, a review. Oh my God. Are you kidding me? Leave a review on this podcast. You'd make our month. Christmas gift for Travis and Wheels.
Yeah. Speaking of Christmas, I actually wanted to ask you a little bit of a question, our audience as well. So my woman, shout out to her. She listens every week. Actually, when her and I first started seeing each other, she had no idea that the podcast was a thing. It was just like a side thing. And then I was like, actually, there are some people that listen to it. She's like, no way. And then she listened to it, and now she listens every single week, and she likes it. So shout out to her. It's Victoria. Greatest woman in the world.
Well,
sorry.
Hello there, Victoria. Thank you so much for tuning in every week. We really, really appreciate it.
Well, reason I bring this up, Christmas is right on the corner. I'm going to be going back to Vancouver to go see her for Christmas break, and I have an idea what I want to get her for Christmas. This is not a secret. I did get her a Polaroid camera. She knows that there's a Polaroid camera coming for Christmas, so I'm not spoiling any top secret stuff. But
is it an actual Polaroid, or is it one of those Instax?
It's one of the fake Polaroids with like fake Polaroid film, because I don't make a lot of money.
So I highly suggest the Instax because you can get the replacement cartridges at your local drugstore. Like they're almost everywhere. Instax, they come in like a purplish pastel or like a pink pastel. Those ones are great. My wife uses them all the time. They're really small. They come out like this big as opposed to like the old school Polaroids, which are a little bit bigger, but those are worth their weight in gold.
Yeah. We talked about like taking the Polaroid out everywhere and kind of making like a scrapbook collection, like photos of us. So like I'm really looking forward to doing that. I got some other stuff for that. Obviously, I can't say in the podcast because she listens. But I'm curious to the people that listen to the podcast, what are some good ideas for getting your woman for Christmas? Because I need a little bit of inspiration. Because I'm going to be honest, I'm kind of running out of ideas. And then also Dave is married to a beautiful, stunning wife who we were just talking with before we started recording, Candace Ray. Dave's been married for over 10 years to her. And I'm curious, what are you getting her for Christmas, Dave?
Okay, so let me give you a little married veteran knowledge here, okay? And believe me when I tell you, when my wife and I first got together, we've been together 13 years, coming up on 14 here in the new year. Yeah, absolutely, it was, I'm going to get her a Chanel purse. I'm going to get her a nice watch. I'm going to get her a nice ring. I'm going to get her a nice this. I'm going to get her a nice that. And, just what's really going to make her happy. But as the years have gone by, and this is the honest to God's truth, I'm not trying to tell you that shit doesn't matter. It does matter, and it matters to women, the material things, and it makes them happy. But I'll tell you what matters more is booking a experience. And when I say an experience, I'm not just talking about like dinner at your favorite joint where it's like, oh, I got us reservations at your favorite restaurant. I'm talking about like, okay, I'll be honest with you. Here's kind of my plan for this year. And again, because my wife experiences, she loves them. So I'm actually planning a bit of we'll call it a scavenger hunt, where we're going to jump in an Uber and the Uber driver is going to be on it. I'm going to book it ahead of time, where he's going to take us to a certain spot. And then that certain spot is going to have a little card to say, thank you so much for coming. Your next location is this place. And so she has something to look forward to. And it's like a 4-stop. And it's little things. It's not like a big fancy restaurant or the most expensive restaurant in town. It's these little tiny hole in the walls, but they all kind of connect. That to me, and especially bringing the Instax, the camera, being able to put that in a scrapbook, looking back, that's the experience that my wife loves. She loves experiences and memories. And maybe it'll end up costing me as much as a new Chanel purse. Maybe it won't. But those are the things that I know she really appreciates. And after you get to know somebody after a period of time, believe me when I tell you, those things are worth a lot more than, here's a Chanel purse. Merry Christmas. I love you. You're welcome.
Well, we were talking about like spending limits for Christmas, because obviously she wants to get me something. I want to get her something. And she's like, what's the spending limit? And I told her, to build off your point, money doesn't matter in regards to the spending limit. Like the thought is what matters. So if you can spend $5 and get the message across, perfect. If you can spend $3,000, sure. No, I'm assuming she's not going to buy me a $3,000 present, but you get the point. Is that the thought is what counts when it comes to this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I agree with you. Again, it all depends on the person that you're with. It really does. I mean, again, not to give too much away, but we're going to end up at a library at one point, and we're gonna, like, one of the clues that we're gonna get at the dinner is going to be, you have to go and find this specific book, and that specific book will have meaning to something that's happened to us in the past. And for those watching on YouTube, your backdrop is a perfect example of, it could be that book right over your right shoulder. You never, it could be there. Who knows? But I don't think the dollar value dictates how special the gift is. But I will tell you this, Travis Bridget, number 33 for the Motor City Rockers. One thing that will be in her stocking is brand new Sheath bralettes.
Let's go. That's exactly what we need for Christmas. The presenting sponsor for this podcast is the team at Sheath Underwear. They have been since day one, and they continue to be. They're awesome. Let me tell you about Sheath Underwear if you're new to the podcast. So Sheath Underwear has pioneered some technology that is game-changing, and Dave has talked about it on his radio show in the mornings, and he's documented it here in the podcast painstakingly about how for years and years there's been advancements for women's technology, for their undergarments and whatnot. But for men, there really hasn't been that. And enter the Sheath Dual Pouch. It's a segregated compartment where, bluntly put, you put your dick and your balls in 2 separate compartments. I said the words.
Wow, we're going there now.
I said it. I said the words.
No more
finally.
secrets.
No secrets. So you put your dick and your balls in 2 separate compartments.
And Richard and your yeah.
In your bag. Your Richard and your bag in 2 different compartments. Man, does that feel good to say finally after 19 episodes. Anyway, so you put them in 2 different compartments, and they're separated and aerated so they can breathe. So the balls go in one segment, your dick goes in the other, and it is physically impossible for them to touch or stick to the side of your leg. It's awesome. Sheath also uses this incredible bamboo mesh technology that's cooling. I don't know how, but they always keep me cool. Like, doesn't matter what like the temperature where I'm picking up the underwear in. They're fantastic. They're awesome. And they're not like the underwear where you're buying through the Loom at Walmart where they last a year, 2 years, and then you pull them out and then they don't bounce back. They just like stay there. That's not Sheath. I still use the same pair that I got from my original demo package 2 years plus ago, and they're awesome. I guarantee you're going to love it. And if you want to pick up a pair of Sheath underwear for yourself, maybe if you're a lady, you want to pick one up for your dad, for your mister, for whatever the case may be, or you want to pick one up for your son, you're going to go to sheathunderwear.com. There's a link in the video description on this YouTube podcast if you're watching the video version. If you're on the Apple or Spotify version, there's a link in the podcasting notes for Sheath Underwear. And then you use the code BIZKIT69, BIZKIT 69. That will get you 20% off the best underwear money can buy. And to be quite honest, the best stocking stuffer. And as Dave mentioned, if you are a lady, they have these awesome red sheath bralettes. They're hot. My woman's got a pair. I love when she sends me pictures in them because it looks so fantastic on her. They got some like hot red colors. They got some hot black. I know she's gonna give me shit for saying that, but I am obsessed with my woman. You have no idea how obsessed I am with my woman, and I can taste seeing her. Sorry, that's
wow.
I'm gonna stop. Anyway, Sheath Underwear promo code BIZKIT69 for 20% off. There's a link in the description, and you're gonna love it. Dave, save me, here, please.
Let me run this one past you. So last Saturday, not last night, last Saturday, watching the NHL Jets game. They're in Dallas. Dallas is leading the Central Division, and the Jets are chasing. Jets have had a couple games on hand, so it's a big swing. I know we're only not even halfway through the season yet. I get it, but kind of a big game. Kind of a big game for the Winnipeg Jets. Divisional battle. Now, Jets are up 4-2 late in the third, inside of 5 minutes. Dallas pulls the goaltender, and they bring it within 4-3. And then under a minute to go, Dallas is pressing. Again, goalie pulled. And now this is a move that I'm not proud of, but I kind of cleared it through the goaltenders that I played with beforehand. It's kind of a shady move. It's kind of a shady move, but I was usually the guy that would stand in front of the net and make way so the goaltender wouldn't get screened. I'd make sure that he could see the puck coming in. That was kind of my job. So one thing, if the play got in real tight, you may or may not bump the forward that's standing in front of the net into the goaltender, maybe dislodge the net. Like, you make it kind of look not obvious. But he is just kind of like, oh, it was a scrum, and I knocked him into the goalie, and the net got knocked off. As long as the goalie's cool with that, he's like, oh, I can make a yard sale. I can throw the blocker, throw the glove, everything can come off. We can make it real dramatic, see if we can draw a penalty out of this. So that situation happened where Josh Morrissey, assistant captain, number 44 for the Winnipeg Jets, didn't make it. He made it really obvious. Literally ran the guy into Hellebuyck. Connor Hellebuyck, number 37 for the Winnipeg Jets. Hellebuyck's hugged up against his left post. Okay? Like he's down and he's looking. He's trying to find a spot. He's trying to see where the puck's coming from. And when Morrissey jams the forward into Hellebuyck, his head goes up against the post. Net does not get dislodged, but Hellebuyck's bucket comes off, and he's lying now face down on the ice like he got hit from a sniper up in the rafters. Okay? Laying there. Puck goes back to the point. Wide open cage. Dallas scores. All the Jets' hands are up there like, whoa, whoa, whoa. Helmet comes off. Whistle's got to be blown. Period. That's a rule. Lid comes off. Play gets blown down. So they go to the control center in New York, and they have a look at it and saying, the referee comes back out to center ice, clicks his microphone on and says, based on the situation and the defenseman pushing the player into the goaltender, goal is good. We're tied at 4, under 5 seconds left to play. We're going to overtime. Now, good news for Winnipeg Jets fans. We end up winning the game 5-4 in overtime on a Mark Scheifele goal, if I remember correctly. But I'm curious to know, from a goaltender standpoint, are you okay with that? The whole situation, being pushed into, helmet coming off, all of it. Like, where did that not be okay for you?
That's a good question. I've always thought that, like, when a guy runs into you, it's your job to either get out of the way or get back into the play. I feel like, and I know the NHL is a little bit different, where they're like trying to like lobby for calls, which makes sense. But so in that specific play, I'm down in my reverse on the post. I get bumped in. My head whacks against the post. I'm instinctively thinking I need to get back to make the save because like I'm getting paid $6 million a year, so I better find a way to stop that puck.
You are?
Well, if I was my boy Bucky, not the 125 week I'm getting in the Fed US, which is about $160 Canadian. I'll have you know with the dollar rate right now. But yeah, I'd be thinking about trying to get back in the play. I would obviously throw my hands up and like what's going on, but I don't know. See, here's the difference between like me and a lot of guys, especially in the Fed Zeno and whatnot, is that like when calls don't go my way and it's a shit call, and let's say like the Dallas guy did bump me, threw me into the net, and the puck was in. It's like, man, when have you ever seen a ref change his mind? Like, you know, Trav, you're right. That was goaltender interference. We'll call it back. Like you've never seen that. I would love if anybody has an example of that happening. I just try to let it go and move on, but I don't know. Does that really answer the question? Probably not.
Not really, no. And I'll be honest with you, I have, and one thing I pride myself on, and I was taught very well by my mother, is, you know, argue everything. And I remember arguing with a referee as assistant captain inside of the paint by the referee's box. And I said, and he goes, "You pushed him into your goalie." And I said, "Yeah, but he didn't have to lay on top of him until the goal was scored. He could have easily gotten off." I mean, yeah, I'll admit, I pushed him in. Everyone went down, but he sat there and he laid on top of him. He wasn't hurt. He wasn't hurt. He could have gotten up, and he overturned the call.
The one problem with that, though, is that if you bump into the goaltender, now the goaltender has to recover back into position, and then they're in a hurry, which would mean they would make more impulsive decisions that they wouldn't have made if they were in position in the right time. So it's a tough call because like the goaltender, yeah, they did have time to get back into position. They got set, but they also had to hurry and rush and get there in a way that they didn't want. And I feel like as a goalie, as a current professional goalie, that is the kind of stuff that leads you to make bad decisions and goals go in when you're rushed. Because it's not the save selection that makes the save, it's the lead up. Like, how do you get there? The things that happen before the save is made is what will dictate if it's a goal or not, I believe.
Well, here's the thing. And again, not to contradict my point, but you guys don't do yourselves any favors. Because let's be honest, you're hockey players. You stand there in front of frozen, vulcanized rubber for 40 shots a game, and you don't complain about it. You take shots off the head, which I want to get to in a second. But the second that a guy comes around the ice and you're playing a puck behind the net and he catches your back leg and you go down as if you'd just been, again, shot by a sniper from the upper deck, we all know you're not a soccer player. You're not doing yourself any favors. You're trying to draw something.
Yeah, I don't do that though, Dave. I don't flop.
I know
like fish.
You don't.
I know a couple guys in the Fed specifically that do flop like fish. Not going to name names. I do know a couple. I'm thinking of them right now. Not going to name names, but I'm thinking of them right now.
Okay, I will say this. You know, we've talked before on this podcast, and you've talked about it on your vlog before. You actually make a point when you're doing your vlogs that every time you get a headshot, you put a big graphic up and you make a big sound effect like headshot. You make it very clear. And I don't think you put all of them on there, but you get at least 2 per practice.
Yeah. I'd say I put about
Fair?
half of them. I'd say half the headshots make it in the vlog. Yeah.
Okay. Why aren't those up for fines?
Sometimes
it was no. It should be every time because it was made very clear to us by our goaltenders when I played. You make a headshot, you're getting fined. Like you're supposed to protect me. This is practice. It's not practice hitting me in the head. It's practice hitting the corners. If you can't hit a corner, keep it on the ice.
I did fine somebody $5 for the inaugural headshot on my new mask this season, so that was one. I haven't really fined anybody since, to be honest.
Every time.
I probably should.
Every time, every practice, every warm up, $5.
I don't know if you ever remember this story, but like Alex Ovechkin obviously loves to practice his one-timers, and one time in practice with the Caps, this is years ago, Braden Holtby standing there, and he's just dinging him off the head, and Holtby takes off his stuff, and he comes at Ovi, and he's like, "What are you doing?" And like they're almost getting into a fist fight because he's like, "Stop hitting me in the head." So to all you players out there, please don't hit your goalies in the head. Please be respectful. We are people too. We care. We think sometimes, and we breathe. and we would appreciate not being dinged off the melon with a 9-iron every opportunity you get. Please.
I don't know. You got to finish the story. What happened between Holtby and Ovi?
Oh, they settled it. They settled it. They walked away. Yeah.
Why was he doing it? Was he doing it on purpose?
He's just practicing one-timers, and he just kept hitting Braden Holtby in the head, and he just had enough. I guess he just snapped and said, "That's enough."
Yeah, well, Ovi's got better aim than that. I think he may have been doing it on purpose, but what do I know? What do I know? Hey, listen. So this past Saturday's game, not only was I watching the Jets game, I was also watching your guys' game free on YouTube as the Federal Professional Hockey League, Federal Prospects Hockey League airs all of the games live for free on YouTube. And so I was feeling a little peakish, and I jumped into the chat, see what was up, and I'll tell you, 2/3 of that chat was all about why isn't old 33 at least on the bench, never mind in the cage for the night. So I decided to get in there a little bit and have a little bit of a conversation. That was a hot chat.
It was explosive. You know what? One of the best things about like playing for Motor City is that I can't see the live chat like during the games because obviously it's gone after the game. But I get lots of messages on Instagram about it. Obviously, my mother was in the live chat, so my mother was texting.
Your mom was in there?
Oh, my mom was texting me like nonstop during the game. She's like, "You won't believe what these people said. Oh, Wheeler was coming to support you." Then obviously, Dave's in the chat, and then my woman's in the chat too because now my woman has been.
How do I not know they were in there?
My mom doesn't comment because I told my mom she's forbidden from commenting on stuff about me because she gets into fights with people. God bless my mother. I love her. She cares a lot. But I was like, Mom, you just got to let it go. There's too many. You'll be a firefighter if you're going to put out fires all day. But my woman's in there and everybody's defending me, which is great. But it was a hot chat. So the reason being is that I guess this will be the rest of the podcast for today. We'll get into the heat of things and the headliner for today. But so Delaware road trip. We headed to Delaware this past weekend. Beautiful Harrington, Delaware, where the
Hello, I'm in Delaware.
Where the capacity for the arena is, I believe, 500 people. It's by far the smallest arena. There was some.
Yeah, dude. Honestly, there was things in the chat. People saying that rink looks smaller than some of the barns you played in Sweden.
No, some of the barns that I played in Junior B. Like my woman texted me a screenshot. Like Victoria texted me. She's like, "This is significantly worse than Binghamton last week." And I said, "Yes, they had an AHL production that from a team that just abandoned everything, like we talked about last week, with just like with Joe Biden and the U.S. Army pulling out of Afghanistan. Same thing in Binghamton. They just left everything. See you later." So you have that high quality production setup, and then you have in Delaware where they live stream with an iPhone 8. So it's significantly different, without a doubt. But so we go down to Delaware, opening game, 6-3 win. Babs gets the win, like he starts every night. And then we get some news. Actually, so Babs gets called up to the SP on Friday night. Now, to back things up, he got a call on Tuesday night, actually, to get called up to the SP by Knoxville, the Knoxville Ice Bears. But he was on the ice coaching and couldn't answer the call in time. And they said, he's not answering, we got to find somebody. So they called somebody else, and they got him instead. So Babs comes home back to the house because they switched my living situation. So Babs and I were living together. And he says, "Dog, I'm so disappointed. I missed the call. I can't believe it. I was 30 minutes away from getting an SP call-up. You don't understand how upset I am." And I was like, "No, you don't understand how upset I am. Believe me." And obviously I didn't say that. I'm trying to be consoling and everything. But in the moment I was like, no, nobody's more upset about this than I am. Trust me. Believe me. Anyway, so Friday night, he gets called up after the game. And it's the real deal. They're like, "Hey, we want you to come out tomorrow. Come out to our game. You got to figure out a situation." So he ends up... his parents come from Philadelphia down to Delaware. They pick him up. They go back to Philadelphia.
He's a Philly boy?
He's from South Philly. That's why he talks.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, he's got that white gangster voice. If you ever meet him, he always calls me actually, I can't swear. I can't see.
Shit.
Yeah, exactly. That's Babsy right there. So his parents come from Philly, pick him up in Delaware. They drive back to Philly. He goes to the airport the next morning, flies Philadelphia to Nashville, Tennessee, where he gets picked up and brought to Knoxville, Tennessee. That's the setup. I was... Now keep in mind, for people listening to the podcast, and especially on the video version, because you can see my expressions, we have to walk a very, very fine line around this story. Capiche? All right, here we go.
Let me see your tight walk.
I don't know how well it's going to go, but we'll try not to fall face first. So I was under the impression that I would be starting Saturday night because that was something that we had talked about previously, and I documented on the podcast earlier that management told me, "You're going to start a game in November. You're going to get a game. Just be patient. In November, you'll have a start." Now, Saturday night was our last game in November. So I thought, I haven't had a start yet this season. Our third goalie / second goalie has started 2 games now. He just started a game a couple nights before, but it was 1 start. Now he's got 2 starts. I got 0. They told me I was going to start in November. I got to be starting. Babs is gone, so Babs can't play. I'm assuming I'm going to start. And all the boys after the game were like, Trav, you're going to get your first start, man. You excited? You ready? I was like, I'm as ready as I'm going to be. They haven't told me confirmed I'm starting, but they told me I was going to. And obviously, in pro hockey, the old saying that money talks and bullshit walks. Like, unless they tell you, Trav, you're starting tonight, it's just hypothetical. And so I ended up not getting the start, obviously. And
but you dressed.
I did dress. Back-to-back games. That's the first. Actually, no, I dressed in 3 straight games backing up this season. But back-to-back dressing up games, and we ended up winning 6-3 again. And obviously the chat was very hot, as you mentioned in the live stream, because people were a little bit upset that I wasn't starting. And obviously, I was a little bit upset too because I thought I was going to. Now, this is the tricky part where me and Dave's going to help me walk this fine line because I want to tell this story, but we're going to be very careful here.
Careful.
There are league rules in place when you sign a contract. You cannot badmouth the league for 5 years after your contract. For example, one of the guys in the Delaware Thunder, he just came back this weekend because he sandbagged the team on Twitter, talking shit about their living situation, about the pay, about all this kind of stuff. Now, don't get me wrong. Like, when you force your team to live in army barracks, yeah, you're probably entitled to shit talk them on Twitter. But if you shit talk them on Twitter, you get sent home and suspended. And that was the case for this guy, and I don't want to get that same situation happen to me. So, rewind maybe sometime in November. We'll leave it in November because that's a little bit vague. And as we mentioned last podcast, there are player coaches on every single team. So we have a player coach in Motor City. Port Huron does. Mississippi does. Everybody has a player coach. The Columbus River Dragons have 4 player coaches, right? Their whole coaching staff is players, from what I'm told there now. So there's a lot of player coaches. And at this one specific game we are playing, I am scratched, and I see 2 player coaches from 2 different teams sitting together, and I know them. And I walk up to them and say, "Gentlemen, it's good to see you." Shake their hand. We're chit-chatting. We're catching up. By the way, I have a great story I would like to share. Do you want to do that first? Or do you want to get to the meat and potatoes?
It's your rodeo, pal.
Okay. So this is one of the stories the player coach told me, and I'm not going to deviate too much because we want to get to the meat and potatoes here. But so this player coach was playing with a Fed team, and one of the members on our current Motor City team was playing with them. We're not going to mention names. So this Motor City player got word one weekend that the captain that he was living with was going to be out of town, and the captain obviously had the nicest bedroom on the team. So the captain left. This player brought a female over because friendships are what matter most in life. There was no promiscuous activities because we're trying to build friendships, right, Dave? That's what they're trying to do, right?
Uh-huh.
Exactly. We're trying to build friendships. And so they were building friendships in the captain's room without the captain's permission. And for whatever reason, she forgot to go pee in the toilet, and she peed on the bed everywhere. And
I got a St. Bernard that does that.
Yeah, so you know exactly what this was like. So the friendship pissing happens, and he decides, I'm just going to go to bed and carry on. So that happens. And then the captain comes back in the middle of the night, around 1 or 2 in the morning, and says, why did somebody pee on my bed? And whose pee was it? Well, the truth comes out. The captain calls the player coach and says, so-and-so just brought a female over to my bedroom without permission with all my stuff in here, and she wetted my bed everywhere. And he says, well, what do you want to do? Well, they released him. So that was an interesting story. That was
wow.
There was a little bit more of a story to that, but that was the gist of, he brought a female over to build friendships, and they pissed on the captain's bed, and he got sent home.
Wow.
Fed Zeno.
Wow.
Yeah. We got lots of stories coming up after the season.
I've heard of dudes getting released for less than that, but that's fighting words.
Yeah, and trust me when I say we got Dave and I collectively, we got lots of stories for after the season if I can tell them by then. But anyway, so back to the reason why I'm telling you this story. So I'm sitting with these 2 player coaches. We score a goal on their goalie, which is not very good. And he looks over to me while we're having our conversation, and he looks me dead in the eye and he says, if I trade for you tonight, will you come play for me? And I said, if you can pull off a trade, that means my current team does no longer want me, and you want me more than them. And I was always raised from my father to go where you're wanted. You're loyal to those that are good to you to an extent. And if you're willing to put in that commitment and make a deal and offer the team something, you care, I'll come play for anybody who wants me. Simple as that.
Okay, hang on. Hang on. Hey, hang on a sec here. I kind of feel like inside of this space, we have a little more power than we're actually admitting, because we talked about, I had asked you the question about, hey, yeah, obviously you're backing up and whatnot. Do you ever think, what would be the best opportunity for you to get into the lineup? And he said, well, Babs getting called up would be awesome. What happens? Bab gets called up. And then we started talking about, I said, hey, there's some expansion teams out there, more of an opportunity to me to get some ice time and whatnot. Next thing you know, there's an actual conversation about you getting dealt. What else do you want here? Like, I think now's the time to ask for it. It's like we're in church right now and we got the deacon sitting there going, what do you want?
What do I want? I wish gas would go down.
Yeah. I think we can all pray for that one.
Yeah.
But how serious do you think that BS conversation up in the stands during the game was? Do you think it was just lip service, or do you think this was actually something that they were pursuing?
Well, I thought he was BSing, and there's two reasons that made me think he wasn't BSing. I said, can we be honest for a second here? Is this going to be the same situation that I'm in right now? Because if it is, I don't want to go, because I've already invested 2 months here in Motor City. It's where I am. I'm loyal to those that are good to me, and I don't want to restart investing time if I'm going to the same situation. It doesn't make any sense. And he says, Trav, I don't need season ticket sales. I sell out every game. I need a save right now. Can you make a save for me? And I said, absolutely I could. And he's like, okay, then I want you. I don't need season ticket sales. I don't give a shit. I don't give a rat's ass, those are his own words, about your vlog. I need a save. Capiche? Gotcha. So let me get a little bit more.
Do you believe him?
Knowing the goalies that they have, yes. I absolutely believe them.
Okay. Because, let's be honest. Most smart coaches, GMs, managers, whatever you want to call them, have to see the value in what you're doing outside of playing.
Well, I agree. And if they're selling out every game, I can't help with season tickets, but I can definitely sell merch. I can definitely get the live chats going and get more buzz in the online community and people talking about such and such a team. Now, we finished the conversation off with, okay, let me grab your information. I'm going to try to make a deal tonight. If we make the deal, you're going to go home, you're going to get all your shit, you're going to put it on our bus, on our team bus, and we're going to bring you back tonight. And I was like, wow, that is the most Fedzino move I've ever heard. Get your shit, you're coming back tonight. And I said, okay. So long story short, deal doesn't go through. Team doesn't want to make a deal. So I was almost traded that night. And now Dave is going to have to help me walk this fine line one more time, but not before a quick commercial break from our amazing team at Manscaped.com. Manscaped is game-changing with the Lawnmower 4.0. They have skin-safe technology. So if you are a hairy gorilla, and like myself currently right now, because I haven't had a good shave in about 2 months, and I'll tell you why. Because I forgot the charger, the battery for my Lawnmower 4, so I got to get a new one. But you can trim down your chest, you can trim down your arms, trim down whatever you need, and you'll get it dialed up and you'll be ready to get good to go. And you can do so by going to the link in the video description. You go to manscaped.com, you use the code BIZKIT, BIZKIT. You're going to get yourself 20% off, and you'll be rolling.
Shout out to my boy Chris Croy. Get one of these and shave your feet, Fred Flintstone, for crying out loud.
You can pick up the Lawnmower 4 at manscaped.com with the link in the video description. So anyway, back to...
By the way, was the lawnmower or the Sheath Underwear part of the deal at all, or was it basically the old Fedzino rules of a bag of pucks, some pylons, and a massage table?
No, so the deal that I was aware of...
Don't give all the details.
We can't share all the details, but we will bring them back next week. But there may or may not have been a free hotel stay for a team next time we came to town, and a steak dinner. I know, I'm serious, yeah, and a steak dinner for our management and ownership group. But that's yet to be seen.
Oh, hang on. A steak dinner for who and a hotel for who?
So the deal was that I was told, this is hot off the press, is that the trade offer for me was a free...
Part of the deal, not the whole deal. Part of the deal.
Part of the deal, sorry. Part of the deal was a free hotel stay for the Motor City Rockers next time they go to this town. So they'll cover the whole bill for the hotel or to some extent. And then a free steak dinner for our management group and ownership next time they come to town as well.
Wow, good deal for them.
It's better than in junior. I got traded in junior for $500 cash, so this is a little bit of an upgrade.
Wow. Yeah. Well, depending on how expensive the steak dinner is and where you're going, I suppose.
Absolutely. But that is where we're going to cap it off for this week, and we'll pick
That's
things
it?
up. We'll pick things up next week. What do you say?
That's it? I want more details. Don't leave me hanging.
Well,
That's it?
What more details you want? What more details you
I
want?
don't know. Can you give me any more details?
I don't think I can give you anything more. I know that this is hot off the press, so obviously it's late at night, so no deal is going to be confirmed right now. But yeah, by the time this podcast goes up, there may or may not be a deal.
So you're telling me by next week's podcast, we could be putting a different logo on the graphics for your vlog in this podcast. Is that kind of what you're telling me?
That's not in my hands anymore. That's at the powers that be because the offer has been submitted as of tonight.
So you're telling me that you're saying there's a chance.
There is a chance. There is a chance. There's also a new podcast of Slangin The Bizkit every Sunday at 11 a.m. Eastern. That's 10 a.m. in Winnipeg. That's going to be 9 a.m. in Calgary, 8 a.m. on the West Coast in Vancouver and Los Angeles and San Francisco. It's going to be 4 p.m. in Sweden, 3 in the UK, 5 in Finland, and 11 p.m. in China and Australia.
You know what? I'm going to change my wife's Christmas gift. I think we're going for a steak dinner and staying in a hotel now. And the Motor City Rockers are covering it.
All that and more next week. Thanks again to our amazing sponsors at Sheath Underwear, Manscaped.com, to my boy Dave Wheeler for helping me with the podcast every single week. Shout out to his beautiful wife Candace Ray and my fantastic woman Victoria. I'm going to give her a call in about 3 minutes because we're done recording the podcast right now. And we'll see you next Sunday on Apple, Spotify, and the video version on YouTube.